Welcome back. Today we've got in our edition is the Attack of the Killer Bees, where we're showing nothing but B finals we've got coming up. As we can see on the screen right now, Super GT B main, followed by 21.5 Touring B main, then TCR Touring B main, and rounding out with Formula One B main. Quite often, there's a few unsung heroes that generally are racing in the B mains who haven't quite made it through to the A's for whatever their reason is. As we can see now, as this B main for Super GT gets underway, we're away in racing, keeping it nice and tidy out in front. We have Drew Miller, just trying to pick up on where he is on the screen. It's a bit busy out there because generally, especially in Super GT, uh, this class has got the up and comers, the guys who are still learning their craft, juniors, and that sort of thing, who are also stepping out of the clubman's class to give this class a good run. So can be a bit busy for the marshals, as we can see out there on the track at the moment. But Drew Miller's leading the way so far with Antoli. I'm pretty sure I've announced that correctly. I did struggle on the day for his name, so Antoli in the second spot at the moment. Drew still holding on to that P1. He's just gone across the stripe now, so he's heading. Ooh, getting a bit of air as he goes through the infield there and onto the back straight. It's getting a bit busy further on back in the track, back in the pack, sorry. Sorry, there's not too much volume coming through from the track. I've downloaded a whole lot of new software to record and naturally learning as you go. Um, didn't quite have the microphone to where I needed to be to pick up everything, but also that's probably not too bad considering my position for the day, with having, as you can see clearly, there's a gentleman standing right in front of race control. You can see the top of his head there next to the North Harbour logo. So if he'd happened to have a break of wind, the microphone would have collected that. So we're skipping through a little bit on this B main. We're coming into the just at the 2.5 minute range, and Drew is holding down that P1 style. Antonol is, maybe that's how you say it, Antonol, is further on down the pack. Flynn Nam is now up into the two spot, beating his dad in the three. Still some good laps going on there. Lots of carnage happening on the track as well, with these young guys and girls, and not so young. Lauren, last race meeting's winner of the B main, is a little further down the pack in that fourth spot. Maybe hubby should have stayed away duck hunting again for this meeting as well. He could have driven a bit better. Another newcomer to the club, Andrew Monaghan, holding down that fifth spot. I'm just trying to pick up on where his car is. He's generally an all baby blue coloured car from memory. Can't quite pick him out on this one, as we've got 1:35 left on the clock. That's probably him just going across the stripe. No, sorry, that was Drew. Drew's got a dark blue car. They're heading down the back straight now, coming into that final hairpin area there. Running nice and wide. Beautiful line actually through there. Coming up over the stripe this time around. Keeping it nice and tidy. Just trying to see where everyone else is. Here we go. We're down into the final minute of this one. Another great racer, Greg Powney. His son will be in the A main, which we will show at a later date. But he's decided to pick up the wheel and go racing as well. And it's good to see him improving race after race meeting, showing his way. Not only with the skill set with he's trying to teach his son, but also getting out there and getting amongst it with everybody else. Final 35 seconds left to run on the clock on this one. Looks like it's all Drews to win. Flynn looks like he'll hold down that second spot. Shane in the three, and Lauren will round out their four. Super GT is always a good little class for everybody to get involved in when you first start out. Low cost entry point. Plenty of cars out there now that we can run with that are eligible for this class. So next stepping up into other classes when your skill set gets bigger, ideal as well. All right, so Drew's taken that one from Flynn, by the looks of it. Yes, and Shane rounding up the three spots. So first, second, and third. Drew Miller, followed by Flynn Nam and Shane Nam in that third spot. Coming up next, we've got 21.5 B main, which I have to talk about myself in a third person, which is going to be weird. So here we go. Okay, so we get the actions just as they're starting to grid up. Myself is in one, Hugo in two, Richard Price in three, Hilton in four, Robin in five, Antonio in six, Scott Wells in seven, Randy Monahan rounding out that eight. Just waiting for the guys to stop playing silly buggers there. Richard with his all gold whisper quiet kite show there, just trying to put some laps around my car um, as he gets into his grid spot. Realised he's in the wrong spot, so he's going back again, trying to do a bit of intimidation there as we're waiting for the beep beep. All right, here we go. And starters orders. That's beep beep, and away we go. Daryl leading that way from the P1 in his fluoro red Awesomatics. Car looks a bit slippery still as the tyre's not quite up to temp. Joys of being race control and trying to run a meeting at the same time, but we'll not worry about that. We'll just concentrate on the racing. We've got Richard Price in that second spot and his gold Kyosho chasing him down. Hugo Milton is currently showing in the two spot, but actually, no, sorry, I tell a lie. He is holding on to that two spot. We've got, he's coming through on the white car, collecting the barrier there on the crossing through the strike that time around. Hilton now holding in that three spot as we're getting a couple of laps in. Going across the stripe there, Daryl's all fluoro red car there, just getting tangled up with a back marker. He's making his way through back markers already. Trying to keep it nice and tidy. On the day, the track was a little slippery from time to time, and I was struggling a little bit to keep it, especially tuning one way just around this hairpin here. It would step out a little bit under power. Not sure why that was happening, but as the race wore on, we got better and better traction, and I managed to open up that gap. Hugo still holding on to that two spot. Robin Upton into the three, Antonio into the four, and Scott Wells holding out five. Bit of carnage going on ahead of me now as I come through the infield, making my way across the stripe, putting a couple of cars down a lap. Say this run was pretty good by my standards. Normally I'm not this calm and uh, normally I hit things or other people, take them out. I try not to, but inevitably somebody gets in my way and I take them out. So I apologise for that now. No, but in all fairness, this race was relatively clean. Everyone drove nicely, and 21.5 class is always going from strength to strength. It's a good stepping stone out of the Super GT class. You can pick up some good chassis there to step into, um, and start improving your skill set there for touring car driving. This is generally, like at most big events, the most popular class to run. That and TCR is becoming more and more popular. B main's coming up on that shortly as we're at the 2.5 minute mark. Antonio is now up into that three spot. I'll just try and pick up on where he is on the track. So I'm going through some back markers there. I have to wait for him. He's just gone across the stripe. Now, generally, his cars are beautifully put together with awesome paint jobs, and him and there's one other, which his name I've just forgotten, always turn out beautiful cars. You should see them in person. The camera doesn't do them justice. It looks like young Hugo's had an off, and he's been into the pit lane. He's now dropping well down the order. Bradley Monahan's holding up that seven spot, and Richard Price is also having a bit of a nightmare run. Richard's not a slouch at any time, but obviously today things haven't quite gone his way in his Kaio show. uh, chassis that he's running today. Got well still holding on to that 2 spot with Robin up to minute 3 with minute 15 left to run on the clock. Richard just going across the stripe now. I can see him going down the back straight. He's reeling in the car ahead of him, which I think might be Bradley. It's always hard to remember when you're in the race yourself. Generally, I can remember what's happened during the day, but when you're racing your own race, you're always busy concentrating on what you're doing. So I can see myself coming through the final complex now and over the stripe with a minute 45 seconds left to run on the clock. We'll just follow myself around for a little bit, running a little wide through the hairpin there, back round through the complex over the stripe, making that trying to straight line everything there through the chicane sections on the left-hand side of the track. Robin's just ahead of me now, and I'm about to put a lap on him. Here comes Robin round into the hairpin, taking that quite nicely, to be fair. And then through the carousel and back over the stripe, he goes through the final chicane section and down the back straightaway. This year we got an interesting mix of motors of old school Control 21.5 motor and the new 21.5 motor. The newer motor is a little slower and has a bit of a different setup window, whereas the older motor, sorry, is a little bit more forgiving. Okay, so I've taken that one with a 26.509, followed by Scott Wells, a lap back 25.503, and Robin Hupton in a 25.504. So up next, we're going to have TCR B main, where I get to feature again, off P1 again. So not quite fast enough to make it into the A main. All right, here we go. We're joining the action now as we're gridding it up. Just waiting for everyone to get in their positions. Everyone's done their warm-up laps. There's a couple of a few track repairs being done as well, just while we're waiting. Watching the guys get into grid position there. Me with my current mount of fluoro red on my Automatics front-wheel drive. Alex in second spot, Simon Jorgensen in third, Daniel York, which generally is an A mainer, is in fourth, and so is Simon Turnbull in five. Got Robin Upton with me again. Barry Vusic, who's got the world's widest car to try and get past when you want to put a lap on him. So we're just in the starters orders now. It's a beep beep and away we go. So I'm leading the way from Alex, who's chasing me down the back straight now. Round through the hairpin for the first time, completing our first lap. Simon Jorgensen on the all-purple machine in the 3 spot. We go across the stripe. We've got Daniel in the 4 and the yellow-green with the fluoro pink wing chasing hard as he's coming down the back straight now as well, keeping it nice and tidy. Just watch him for a lap or two. Round through the carousel he goes, under the stripe, keeping it nice and tidy through the chicane sections. Down the back straight he goes again, keeping it tight. In through the hairpin, he's making some gains there on Simon, but Simon's also pushing hard. Alex made an error going over the stripe that time around, has been dropped back 3 or 4 spots. They all chase each other down the back straight now. It's allowing me to skip away a little bit in the front there for a moment or two with Cy Jorgensen hunting me down. I tell you what, Simon's car is rapid. His car is fast. But then again, we've got Daniel York in that 3 spot. He's also chasing Simon as he goes across the stripe there, looking for a way through the centre section. They go down the back straight. They go round through the hairpin. We've got traffic ahead of us coming up on a slower vehicle there. He's just a little bit in the way there, balking a little bit, but not intentionally. He'll pop out of the way there. There we go, giving racing room now. Now Daniel's up into the 2 spot. We've got Barry ahead of us in the all-yellow Fiat. Down the back straight we go again. Barry just holding station there, keeping his lines nice and tight as he's waiting for us to catch up to him. He'll pop out of the way in a second, hopefully. Then through the chicane part we go. Down the back straight away, got another car ahead of Barry as well as we come through the infield up over the... There we go, Barry's just getting out of the way for the orange car, and we've got Looks like Cy Jorgensen in there as well, right up in the back bumper of the leaders. They get on the back straight again, and there's a tangle there. There's a touch. It looked like that was Alec Beck being out of the way there, just getting in the way a little bit, I believe. He's in the 4 spot, so he's still in the hunt with just under 3 minutes left to run. Simon Sturge. Oh, he's just made an error there, clipping the barrier, going through the switchback section now. Now he's up against the barrier, being marshalled. That's him out of contention, I think. Is it him? I just can't quite make out. That might be him now going across the stripe. Um, so we've still got Daniel circulating in that 2 spot. Just gone across the stripe now. Cy Jorgensen, yeah, is still in the 3 spot, so he's still running. It must have been Antonio because Antonio runs a fairly dark car in TCR. The camera's picking up the light of the track. Not quite as bad as what it looks on camera with the natural eye, with the shadows and the sunlight. This time of the day, we're sort of around about the 3 o'clock in the afternoon. In the morning, it's a little bit harsher because the sun beams straight in at a low level in the wintertime. It does make it from our driving positions a bit hard to see and judge some of the track. I've just gone across the stripe. Where am I? Going through the hairpin now, back through the switchback, about to put a lap on. That must be young. Let's try and pick up who it is. I haven't seen Simon. Simon generally runs a gold car, so it might be him. Might be young Casey. Casey be running a yellow and blue car, ex Rebecca Maris car. Really, really well presented. Young guys driving quite well too. As I say that, he's just had a coming together with one of the other competitors. I'm making my way now down the back straightaway. It's hard to say that as I keep it nice and tidy. Back through the switchback, across the stripe, down the back straightaway I go. 1 minute left to run. Scott well back in the pack. That's unusual for him. He's generally a fairly good runner in the B mains, a consistent runner and consistently getting better and better each time he goes out. A little bit of a coming together there just with a couple of cars coming up to the stripe. Looks like Barry's getting out of the way for me again as I go through and put a lap on him. Daniel's still holding on to that 2 spot. I'll just see how far back. He's not too far away from me, to be fair. Was starting to range up on my back bumper for a while. And was getting a lot of pressure from Cy Jorgensen as well in his purple Barney the dinosaur coloured X-ray. But he seems to have fallen back a little way. Not sure why. Didn't hear too much from him on the driver's stand. Normally can be a little vocal if somebody's getting in his way. But this time around he was pretty quiet. So, like I said, it's always hard when calling races with others is easy to remember. But when it's myself, I'm just thinking of what I'm doing. I'm not paying attention to others. But no, it has been a good clean race as I take that one, and everyone's finishing up now. Yeah, so 2 B main wins for me. Woohoo! I get the chocolate fish. And we're going to move right along to our B main Formula One in just a second. All right, here we go. We just got the guys coming into their starting positions. We've got Scott Wells off 1, Jason Helg on 2, Pierre on 3, Matthew Vanderhaas on 4. Our current national champion is in 4 in the B main, having a bit of a mare run with his car on this particular weekend, which is unusual for him. Normally very consistent, but didn't have a chance to catch up with him to see what was going on. But let's just see if he can redeem himself in this final second to last race of the day, because we'll have Formula One A main circling out, rounding out our day. We're just waiting for a couple more cars to get in position, and then we'll be uh, getting this one underway. And there we go. We're away and racing now. We've got Scott Wells leading the way for the first time in the Colin Story Red Bull white car. He goes down the back straight away for the first time. Got somebody out on the stand, out on the track, trying to fix the dots while the race is underway. Just hope he doesn't stand on anybody's cars by mistake. So, well aware of that, getting out of the way. Looks like young Marty. Okay, Scott still running in that P1 spot. Not quite sure why the tracking hasn't picked up on what's going on here with this race. Do you believe maybe we might have had a bit of a bit of a technical problem a couple of weeks ago? I can't remember. Should really make some notes. All right, looks like we're back under the starters' hands. And we're just waiting for our trusty Roadrunner to let one go. All right, so we've beep and away we go. So Scott Wells leading the way again in his ex-Collins Story Red Bull Formula One car, followed by, can't quite see who's in the 2 spot. Oh, Scott just making an error there. Getting out of the way. Matthew van der Haas in the Racing Point pink BWT car in the 3 spot as they go down the front straight away. Round through the hairpin, they're stalking the 2 cars ahead of him. It looks like it's Jason Helg and Scott Wells is the position. Somebody's backwards on that one, going over the stripe. Not sure who that is. Hugo Norton's in this one as well. He too is running he's running an X-Ray, which is painted up as a Red Bull car. Young guy's really starting to show his stripes now. In terms of his driving, he can definitely hold his own. How quickly he's improved his driving over the last few months since the end of since about November last year. He's really picked up his game and actually, for a young man, able to hold his own for a good part of the race. And he's starting to get some good racecraft happening. His dad, Simon Norton, um, is a very good teacher. So obviously, rubber. He's also a good driver as well. So that's obviously rubbing off on the son um, as he continues to improve his racing. So Matthew is now out in that P1. I'll try and pick up on where he is. Should be him coming across the stripe now. Yes, it is through the chicane sections and down the back straightaway he's going. Got a car ahead of him. I'm not sure who that is, but he's just gone on the inside of him, keeping that nice and tidy. Somebody's been caught under the barrier there. I don't know who that is. I can't quite tell. That's a white car, so that could be Scott Wells has been caught by the barrier by the looks of it. Oh, someone's upside down after clipping the barrier at the loop. Big Nev gets out there and marshals quickly as always. Neville, a good stalwart of our club, very active committee member, always here first thing in the morning to build the track, always one of the last ones to leave after the race meeting's done. So always good to have Nev around, and he does a good job, and he's a great driver too. Um, and always a good laugh to be around as well. So Matthew's still holding on to that P1 as we're getting down into the back end of this race. We've got Jason Helg in the 2, Scott Wells in the 3, Pierre in 4, Hugo holding out 5. Watching Matthew go through the stripe that time around, basically straightlining the chicane areas with his Racing Point Formula One. Comes over the stripe again, straight line, corner, pretty much a straight line there as well as he goes in the back straight, keeping it nice and tidy. Round through the hairpin he goes, and through the switchback, back over the stripe again. Just basically keeping it nice and tidy, running very, very quick lap times. Fastest lap should come up on the screen in a moment. Next time it refreshes. Someone's upside down in the middle of the track there as our leaders go through. So he's done 11.206. It was pretty quick. That's as fast as some of the 21.5 cars. Jason Help doing an 11.792 and Scott Wells doing an 11.875. Unfortunately, not been able to convert that into some decent race pace there. Scott's consistency a little bit down, so that's why he's in third spot, 2 laps down, or 3 laps down on Matthew. Matthew's absolutely dominating this. So we're getting down to the final minute of this race. Matthew's still leading that way with 45 left to run on the clock. Jason Howell holding on to the 2 spot. Jason, understated driver, doesn't say a lot, just comes along, does his part, races, and then goes home again. But he's always been very good competition. Someone's caught on the barrier there on the infield just after the stripe. Not sure who that was, but we'll keep an eye on who that is. Somebody's just gone in there to fix up the barrier as well, as we've got 25 seconds left to run on the clock. Jason, oh yeah, Jason's just about to go down a lap to Matthew, so he's just ahead of Matthew at the moment, which is coming together there with somebody else. Didn't quite pick up on who that was. Battling away there, Matthew goes through on all three of them. Down the back straight away they go. They got 5 seconds left to run. Nothing left in it. Matthew just chucking it into that hairpin there, getting the back end, switching out as he comes over the stripe, takes that win quite nicely. Jason Helg in the 2 spot, Pierre in the 3. So this is what the B mains. Next time around, we'll have some A mains from the next meeting coming up, which is our pizza meeting. Check it out online, and we'll see you in the next one.